All right, guys, I have got a treat for you today. We are mixing it up. So a little while ago, I hosted a live webinar with one of my favorite software companies, Dubsado, and it was part of their summer sale week, and they had a bunch of really great webinars happening. So it was really fun. I got to hang out with a ton of other designers and small business owners live while I taught some big marketing strategies for helping grow your design or service business. And this webinar was such a hit that I asked Dubsado if I could share it on my podcast, and they happily said yes. So in this episode, you're going to hear the audio from that webinar. And of course, when it was live, I was also sharing some slides. I also had my face on it some and all of that kind of thing. So if you want the slides to accompany this, which I would highly recommend, you can go to elizabethmccravey.com/Dubsado-slides. That link is directly in the show notes too, so you can just click it. But I recommend getting the slides because a lot of what I share, you'll want the visual for in order to implement it. Like I'm sharing exact emails I send, exact pieces of my design process, and you can literally read it and see exactly what I'm doing behind the scenes. And the download's just a simple PDF, so you don't need a slide software to open it or anything like that. But it'll be helpful to you to see that even if you're just looking at it on your phone while you're listening to this episode. So I want to say too, before I play this webinar, if you're not a designer, but you're another type of service business, I still would encourage you to listen to this episode if the title's intriguing to you. If you're like, ooh, I'd like to book more ideal clients. If that's something you want, no matter what business you're in, I'd encourage you to listen because there's still so much to gain here. So when I did this webinar live, like I said, there were a lot of people watching with me, watching the webinar. And some of those people were bookkeepers, copywriters, photographers, coaches, virtual assistants. There were a lot of people in different industries watching. I know this because they commented with what their industries were, and a lot of them messaged me after saying how helpful it was. So they loved it too, and were able to just apply it to their business. And if you're a designer like myself, a website designer, brand designer, whatever it is you do, you're going to love how specific this is to your design business. And I really want to encourage you to listen all the way to the end because the content I teach is only about 35 minutes long, but then I do a Q&A at the end. And there are a ton of great questions asked. And if you want to really make sure you hear that part, or let's say you watch some of the webinar live, but then you had to leave or you missed the Q&A part, whatever it is, look at the show notes for this, and we're going to have timestamps so you can find exactly what you're looking for of each question that was asked. And you can go say, oh, I want to know the answer to that question, and go find it and listen to my response because the questions were really fabulous on this one. One other little quick note before I play it. If you're like, oh, Dubsado sounds interesting, I'd love to try that. You can learn about Dubsado and get 30% off your subscription, and also get a free trial where you can have 3 clients for free. And then once you get your 4th client, you can pay and get 30% off your subscription. And that link is elizabethmccravey.com/Dubsado. And again, that's in the show notes. So if you're like, that sounds interesting, definitely check that out. But even if you're not a Dubsado user and you have no interest in adding a CRM to your business, there's still going to be stuff for you in this episode. So again, I really hope you guys enjoy this. Kind of a little different thing on the podcast this week. And without further ado, I'm going to play that webinar so you can learn 5 secrets for using Dubsado to attract and book more ideal design clients. Hey guys, it's Elizabeth McCravey, and you're listening to the Breakthrough Brand Podcast. Each week, I'll bring you workshop-style trainings that teach you how to stand out online, design success from the inside out, and create a breakthrough business. It's time to turn viewers into raving fans and design the business and life of your dreams. I'm so excited you're here. Okay, perfect. Hello, you guys. Thanks for saying hi in the comments. Hey, London. Hey, Abby. Okay, you guys, this is going to be so fun. Okay, so I'm going to jump right to it. Let me kind of hide a few things over here for myself. I'm going to share my screen with you guys in a minute, but first I just want to say thanks for being here. Yeah, tell me where you're from and what, oh, you're the girl who posted her breakfast this morning. Okay. I love it. Yes, please keep the comments going. I actually have,
the webinar pulled up over here so I can see the comments, but I'm about to go to sharing my screen with you guys. Okay, so today, you guys, we're talking about 5 secrets for using Dubsado to attract and book more ideal design clients. Yeah, so we're talking through this. I'm going to jump straight to the content. What I want to ask of you guys is, one, to post any questions you have in the comments. I will come to some questions at the end because I'm not going to talk this whole time. This should be 35-ish minutes of me talking. So feel free to post some questions. And I want to say too, this is completely geared towards graphic designers, but if you are, say a copywriter, a bookkeeper, a photographer, anything else, Dubsado and these secrets for marketing your business are going to apply to you as well. So, this will work for you too. So a quick introduction of me. I'm a website designer and business strategist, and fun random thing, I've actually been using Dubsado since day one of my business, which was about 5 years ago. A girl at a networking event told me about it, and I was like, I need you to spell that. I have no idea what you're talking about. And she told me she thought it would help me find the organization I was really wanting in my business. And she was so right. So I'm a huge Dubsado fan, and I host a weekly podcast. So if you enjoy this webinar, definitely check out the podcast. It's called the Breakthrough Brand Podcast. And right now I primarily sell website templates, and I do take on one-on-one design clients. I actually booked a new client yesterday, but I do that a lot less. And I'm actually pivoting towards helping other designers learn how to run a booked out design business. And I also sell website templates. So there's a little bit about me. Okay, so let's get to the stuff, you guys. Okay, so thing we're going to talk about to begin with, your business needs some TLC, okay? Not the Learning Center. That's what that logo means. And not Tender Loving Care. Not that kind of TLC, but your business needs traffic, leads, and clients. And we're going to kind of talk about this threaded through everything I'm sharing here. But your business needs traffic, leads, and clients. And Dubsado, I'm sure many of you think of it this way, is I use this tool to take my clients through the design process. They already booked with me. I would like to lead them through the project. But I want to talk to you guys today about how you can use Dubsado before their clients to generate traffic and to turn that traffic into leads. And then, there are other people presenting on using it for your client management side, but we're going to focus on the traffic to leads part right here, which I think is really, really fun. Okay, so question for you guys. I'd love for you to post to answer this in the comments if you'd like to, but question to think about: how valuable would it be to take more of the traffic that already comes to your website and convert those people into clients? What if, maybe you only get, let's say, 5 leads a month? What if you were getting 15 leads and 5 of those were booking? How valuable would that be for you? Because that's the focus of what we're talking about here. So my goal for you is that after our time together, you'll have some strategies that will help you move towards a more booked out client calendar in your design business. However many clients that is for you, whether it's that you want consistent back-to-back clients, or if it's that you want, just a few more projects to finish out 2020. Okay, so let's get into the first secret. Okay, so I'm going to talk through again. This is 5 secrets. Each one I'm going to teach on a little bit. So the first one, this relates to turning traffic into leads. So thinking back to the TLC thing I was talking about, this is taking the traffic that's already on your website, turning it into a lead that then you can turn into a client. So this is the secret. And if this sounds really basic to you, please don't tune me out, because some of these are going to get less basic. This one's really foundational, but you might not be doing this and you don't even realize it. So the thing I want to say here is that the first step towards working with you has to be simple and painless. And again, that sounds simple, but I see designers all the time missing this and then being like, why don't I have any clients? Why is no one ever reaching out to me? Why is my lead capture form from Dubsado never get filled out? It's because they're missing this. So your lead capture form, when we talk about that is basically the form in Dubsado that you use to collect initial information about a potential client. So typically you embed that form onto your contact page, whatever website platform you use. And because Dubsado is amazing, you can do so much cool stuff with the form. So, we can add check boxes, a bunch of drop downs, a bunch of questions, and it can be all really pretty and cool. And so I think sometimes we go overboard on this. So I want to remind you, your lead capture form is not your onboarding questionnaire. It's not a like get someone to tell their whole business story to you form. It's also not an application to work with you. It should be a lot simpler than that. And when we have a super complicated contact form, we're actually communicating to potential customers that it's difficult to work with us. That's what it says if it's really hard to like fill it out and get to the next step. So I want to show you guys as a quick example here. This is my contact form. Again, I'm calling it contact form and lead capture interchangeably, but this is embedded on my contact page. And as you can see, it's easy questions. It's not specific to any one service. And I'm asking for things like first name, last name, email. I have a drop down for what service they're interested in, which we're going to talk about that because that's really key here. And then I ask for their website, what kind of business they have. Those two are important to me as a website designer, but that could be something you don't ask. You always want to give them a place to ask a message and ask where they found you. And remember, here's the tip here. We want it to feel easy to work with you and then actually be easy to work with you. So easy to get started. Also remember, a lot of times people are filling out this form on their phone. When they find you on Instagram and get really excited and contact you, it's on their phone. So you want it to be as simple as possible. You want them to be able to open up communication with you easy. And the other questions can come later on. So let's take this a step further. So another way to make it easy to work with you is to add a lead capture form directly to your services page. So, let's say you're a website designer like myself, you do branding and website design. You can put the lead capture form, a different version of it, I would recommend, so that you can tell where people are coming from. But you can put another lead capture form. You can ask slightly different questions. Just put it at the bottom of the service page, and that way it's one less click, and they can quickly get to a way to be in touch with you. Okay, so at the end of each of these tips, I'm going to give you guys a little action step. So for this first one, my question for you to look at your website: does your contact form communicate that you are easy to work with? Really look at it and ask yourself that. And then ask yourself instead, are you potentially making potential leads jump through hoops to get in touch with you? Like, what are you communicating there? And then consider, could you duplicate your lead capture right now in Dubsado and then edit it a little bit, customize it a little bit for that service, and then just add it directly on to your service page that's right there. And people are reading, they're a little interested, they're just going to fill it out. It'll get them quicker and probably get more people filling out your form. And also I want to say too, some of you watching might not already be Dubsado users. And so if that's you, this is all stuff that once you get in there and start using it, you'll know what I'm talking about. So that was lead capture forms. Okay. Secret number 2. I really like this one. So this is to keep the lead's attention. So remember, we're doing traffic, leads, clients. That's the goal. And so once they're a lead, they've filled out the contact form, they're engaging with you, they're interested in working with you, we want to keep their attention. So here's the secret. Send a customized automated email right after they fill out the lead capture form. I like to call this a fast follow-up, and it'll save you time and help potential clients feel more connected to you immediately. So consider this. Consider that it's a Friday night and you've signed off for the day. You are not working. You're so grateful to be having some work-life balance, and someone who is interested in working with you fills out your contact form, your lead capture. And now, they're interested. They might have contacted other people besides you. That's something I always want you to remember, is that you are probably not the only designer someone has contacted about their project. So keep that in mind. But the $1 million question is how do you stay top of mind? How do you be selling yourself really as someone for them to work with before they've heard back from you personally? And the way to do this is with an automated follow-up email. So the designer who gets remembered over the weekend in that scenario is the one with the automated email. And you guys, again, this is so easy to do. So there's really no reason not to do it. And I'm going to show you exactly what my emails are like in here so that you can just do what I'm doing if you want to. So when designers tell me, like, I constantly am getting ghosted by potential clients, like, maybe this person filled out my contact form. They seemed really interested and I wrote them back a few days later, but then I know they read it because Dubsado told me they read it, but I've never heard back from them again. I always ask, did you have a fast follow-up email? And typically when this is the case, someone did not do this email. Okay. So the way to do this in Dubsado, I'm not going to give you like a full tutorial on this because I'd really recommend just looking to Dubsado's amazing tutorials, but you want to use workflows. So you want to make a workflow for each of the drop-down options under the question, however you phrase your question, but the question of what service are you interested in? You want to add, you can see right here, like at the bottom one, all those are the options. And then I'm connecting those to workflows. So for each of the things they could have answered, they get a different automated email, and you're doing that through Dubsado workflows. And I call my workflows contact : the service name. That way on my end, I can know like, okay, this is the workflow for the contact page related to the graphic design service option. That way it's like really clear in your mind. And when you do the workflow, you can see in this top picture, you want it set to send immediately after workflow started. And then in the settings of that, it would be send an email 0 hours after. So that's just immediate. Okay, so what goes in this email? I'm literally going to show you my entire email here in a moment, but I'm going to kind of break it down first. I also just want to add real quick, because I forgot to say this at the beginning, but if you are like wanting these exact templates, so to speak, I'm going to give you guys a link at the end where you can just download my whole slide deck here. So that way you can like reread all of this stuff. Some of it a little bit later you'll for sure want, but you'll be able to read it and like make sure that that you've got it there. Okay, so the first thing, set expectations around when you will reply. This is really important, you guys. I have found so strangely, and it honestly frustrates me, but I've found that a lot of people think that emailing is like texting. And so when they email you, say it's a Friday night, like in my example, they might be thinking, oh, she should write back to me in the next like 30 minutes. So I like to really quickly adjust that and set expectations for when we'll reply. So mine says, hey, client first name. You can autofill that in Dubsado, you guys. So that's what that little dashes around it mean. That's all in your Dubsado settings, but I like to address them by their first name. So even though they might know it's automated, which I don't care if they know, I think it's still great. But even if they know, it's still a little customized. So I say, thanks for reaching out. I look forward to hearing back from you. I'll read over your message and get back to you within 24 business hours. In the meantime, so this is where the next thing comes. I'll show you an example next. But you want to give them a helpful resource relevant to what they're inquiring about. So this could be a blog post you wrote. It could be your gallery page with all of the portfolio work you've done. It could be a podcast episode if you're a podcaster or YouTuber. It could be a link to your pricing guide. If you have like, I like to call it a lookbook, but if you have info on that where it's like all the details of working with you can link to that. Here's what that looks like in this particular email. So this is actually one I used to use a while back. This isn't my current one, but when I was in a phase of my business where I was like completely booked out, making 6 figures a year just from custom design work. I do a lot less custom work now, but this was the email people got, okay? So I literally just like got it from my Dubsado account and screenshot for you. So it says, in the meantime, first I mentioned the portfolio page. Some of this isn't highlighted correctly, so technically that's linked wherever it says it's linked. And then I say, consider checking out the blog too. There are a lot of great resources to get you started thinking about your brand before you even start working with a designer. And then I point them to 3 blog posts because I did not podcast then or do email marketing or anything. And so that's what I pointed them to was those 3 blogs. You can kind of see they're relevant to what this person's asking about. So that's a little tip there. And again, I'm going to give you guys the slide deck if you want to like really look at all that more. A third thing I would say to put in the email is ask them to connect with you on social media. There's an example of how I was doing that. And the reason for this is because if they end up like deciding it's not good timing right now, you're still going to be building that connection with them daily on whatever social media it is for you. I know for many of you watching, it would be Instagram for you, just like it is for me. But by encouraging them to connect with you there, you can build that relationship over there in addition to like whatever communication you're going to do with them on your email. So I really like to do that. And it's really fascinating to me because I will often see someone sends me, a form, like fills out my Dubsado form. And then I go to read their message and then I see, oh, that same person followed me on Instagram, like 5 minutes later when they open this email. So it really works for growing that as well. So the action steps for this one: add a workflow to your lead capture form for each of the drop-down options. And I think that's really important too to note here. Like, don't just do it for the one that's like branding and website design services or stationery or whatever. Do it for like a general inquiry one as well. Do it for all of them, customize it, use the examples I showed, and then, set expectations, offer resources, encourage them to follow you on social media. And then last thing, relax, because your potential client is being nurtured even when you're not working, which seriously, you guys, it feels so good to like know that when you get emails over the weekend, they already heard from you. And so you feel less pressure to like, I got to respond immediately. And I see some of you guys are writing some questions. I'm going to like save these and get back to them at the end. So let's go to the third tip. Let me know if you guys are liking these. It's kind of distracting reading your comments, but fun at the same time. Okay, so the third secret. This is to make the lead to client process faster. So remember TLC, like we were saying, traffic, leads, clients. You got the lead. How do we make them a client faster? We've all been there of like, you talk to a client or maybe they fill out your contact form, let's say, and then it takes 1,000 years for you to get them to like actually be a client. We don't want that. So this is going to help you speed that up. So this, I call it having the option to skip the form and schedule a call immediately. So someone who's eager and action taking, they are going to want to do this. And again, this is something I did in my business for a really long time. So I got a little meme of Joey here. I'll let that play for a moment. So when people are on your contact page, they are in their most action taking state. Seriously, like that, when they're on the contact page, they just filled out the form or they're thinking about filling out the form. They're like ready to roll. I'll pause this right now. Like Joey is here. He says, all right, where's that turkey? He's ready to roll. So sometimes getting people to take the next action step is the hardest thing. So when they're right there, they're ready to go. This is the time to speed things up. And again, I'm not like super intensely booking clients right now. So I don't do this because my website template shop's my focus. But in seasons of my design business where I was like actively booked out, not when I was having a wait list, but when I was actively like booking clients, I would do this. And on my contact page, I would have an option that said, ready to chat, skip the contact form and hop on a call with me. So I had that literal text and then under it, a button that would lead to the Dubsado scheduler. Okay. So that's how you do it. And Dubsado has a really awesome, like built-in way for people to schedule calls with you. If you're not familiar with it, it has a form connected to it. And then the user is going to see it in their time zone, the scheduling time options. And you can mark like, I take calls on Wednesdays from 8 to 5 Central Standard Time. And then that's the timing they'll see. And you still get info from them in a form because they're still filling out a form. So I add that text and a button. And so you want to put this on your contact page and then also directly onto the service page. So just like you're adding the lead capture form to the service page directly, you want to add this to your service page and the contact page as well. Okay. Something you might be thinking with what I just said, to let me know in the comments if I'm reading your mind on this at all. But you might be thinking, I don't want to do this, Elizabeth, because what if they don't have the budget and it's a waste of my time? What if the call is horrible and they're awkward and it's so uncomfortable and they're weird? What if I can't like screen them first because they just scheduled a call with me now I have to talk to them? And what if they're absolutely not an ideal client and like, oh no, it's going to be horrible? If that's any of those, okay, London says yes. Okay, a lot of you guys are saying yes. Okay, so much yes there. All right, so if that's what you're thinking, here's my encouragement to you. If you wish you had more clients, try it. So if they don't have the budget, you will literally get better at negotiating, knowing your value, talking about awkward money stuff from talking to someone, from someone saying like, if you're like, hey, my lowest package is $5,000 and they're like, ooh, my budget was $1,000. Like, how do you navigate that? You learn from these awkward conversations. If they're awkward or not your dream client, you will get better at selling through having bad calls. And it's just 20 to 30 minutes of your time. So if it doesn't work out, you'll grow from it. And again, when I was doing this, again, consistently. I got so many clients this way quickly, but I had some calls where it was awkward. I still remember one call in particular where I was newer in my business and I had this set up, and I started my business when I was just like, just 22. And so I was young, and this person was like, "Where'd you go to college?" And asked all these like really snarky, rude questions that made me feel like the biggest, most unqualified loser. And I grew from her saying that to me. So just know you'll grow from it. It's worth it. And you'll book some clients through it. So many times in my business, I know I just kind of said this, but I have booked truly ideal clients this way in just like a 3-day period because they skipped the form. They scheduled a call. After the call, they are like, "I'm ready to go." And they might have reached out to other designers, but like they had already literally spoken to me on the phone before those designers might have even written them back. So it really, really helps you stand out. Because too, I want to say on this note too, real fast, like so many designers, I'm sure you guys know this, maybe this is you right now, but it's hard to talk to you, like, because you're hard to get in touch with. You kind of put a barrier of like scheduling a call with you for clients only or something like that. This can set you apart from those designers because you're like, you can actually schedule a call with me immediately. I'm available, personable, all of that stuff. So it'll help you grow. So the action step here is simple. Add a button and option to skip the form and schedule a call with you to your contact and service page. And seriously, I know some of you guys have said you're like interested in trying it now. But I would say just try it. And then once you're like, okay, I've done that for a while, I'm booked up for the next like 3 months, I don't really need more clients right this minute, then take it off. Like you don't have to leave it on there all the time, but you can go through seasons where you add it and just test it out. It's really fun. It'll make you better at discovery calls. Okay, I've got 2 more secrets. Let me get something to drink real fast though.
Interrupting this episode with a suggestion for the small business owners listening. Ever wonder what you should do for healthcare when you and your spouse are both self-employed, so there's no work-provided health insurance to participate in? Well, when my husband Adam joined me in the entrepreneurial job space over 4 years ago, we joined Christian Healthcare Ministries instead of getting traditional health insurance. And it was the best decision for us, especially in these years of growing and raising a family while also running multiple businesses. CHM is a health cost-sharing ministry and is a faith-based alternative to health insurance. We did tons of research before choosing CHM, and if you know me and Adam, you know we are all about doing the math when making big or small financial decisions. And even though it's not insurance, CHM shares 100% of eligible medical bills, which is more than the typical 70 or 80% of medical bills paid for by insurance companies. All sharing is determined by the CHM guidelines, which you can check out before and after joining. And for the mamas and mamas to be listening, you truly cannot find a better healthcare option for maternity care. I had a vaginal delivery and a C-section and birth center care and hospital care between my 2 pregnancies and births, and it was all 100% shared for. And outside of birth, we've had our share of emergency room visits and procedures as a family, and those costs were all shared by members at Christian Healthcare Ministries, leaving us only paying our monthly contribution. CHM is less expensive month to month than insurance, and because there's no network, you can choose your care with whichever providers best fit your family. I seriously just cannot recommend Christian Healthcare Ministries enough. You've got to check them out. Go to elizabethmccravey.com/CHM for more information. Also putting that link in the show notes, elizabethmccravey.com/CHM. Now back to the episode.
Okay. This is a fun one. So this helps you increase certainty. If you listen to my podcast, you might have heard me talk about this, but I'm going to expand on this with an example. So again, if you've already heard this, don't tune me out. So here's an idea. When you send the proposal to a potential client, send the first step for the project too. So showing a potential customer a sneak peek into the next step helps them have certainty about what you're selling and makes parting with their money easier. So this is kind of like when they're in the lead to client phase. Remember the TLC, so they're already a lead, taking them to a client. So you're probably used to sending just the proposal, and then the invoice and contract, and then the onboarding details later. If you're like most designers, that's what we're used to doing. And so I know for me, that's what I did for a while. I would just send the proposal, and then, you wait to hear back from them if they like the proposal, and then you send the invoice and contract. Or maybe you're sending all three of those together, but then regardless, the onboarding comes later. And if you're not doing any of that, I would definitely recommend Dubsado for it, because it'll help you do that really simply. But if you want more clients to say like heck yes to your proposal, like less hesitation, less waiting, this is a great way to do it. So I like to call this selling certainty. So we've all purchased things that have been immediately hit with buyer's remorse. Or we've like thought about buying something, but then we never commit to it because the risk feels too great. And something I want you to remember, even if right now you feel like your prices are at the lower end of what you want to charge, like maybe you're like, I want $10,000 projects, but right now I charge $1,000. You are still selling something that's hard for people to part with technically. Like parting with your money's hard. So you have to they have to know that, that what they're paying for is worth it. So if you often have customers who are like, I'm really interested in working with you, but then you can't get them to finally pay the invoice, then they might be needing more proof of what's on the other side. What's on the other side of their credit card payment? What's behind the curtain there? That might be what they need to know. So here's literally how I do this. And again, remember you guys, the slides are going to be available if you want to reference any of this later. So when I send the project proposal, this is like a rough look at what I do, because I do customize this a bit to each client, but I want to kind of walk you through this. So, the title of this would be what is it called in Dubsado? A template. Why did I blank out on that? So it's a template that I'm sending when I send the proposal. So I start out with enthusiasm for the project. I typically mention stuff specific to the call with them. I always do a discovery call before booking a client. And I'll typically say it was great speaking with you on, Friday or whatever. I like to tell them some ideas I'm already excited about for the project and that sort of thing. And then I move into here's a link for the quote, contract, and invoice for your project needs. I'd make a note to click at the top of the page, because you guys know in Dubsado, you can do it says proposal, contract, invoice, and they're all three just listed at the top. And so they click to navigate. And then here's the important part right here. You can read the whole thing, but the important thing is if you're ready to get rolling or just curious about what the first step would be, you can get started on this branding questionnaire. It's about 30 questions that help us both get clarity on your goals, your audience, and the purpose for your new website. After this, I'll send you a short onboarding video with details and next steps. So I'm giving them the first step. So technically at the same time as they pay their invoice, they can also get started on the homework, which kind of alleviates some of the potential buyer's remorse. And really, I do think helps people with parting their money. So I've done this a few times recently, again, for big project deals, where it is a lot of money, even for people who make a lot of money in their business. And if you listen to my podcast, you've heard me say this before, but I had my ads agency I hired did this when they actually used Dubsado. They run Dubsado's ads. So fun thing. We're all connected there. But the ad agency who runs my ads, when they sent me their Dubsado stuff like this, they sent me all the first steps. And this is a multiple expensive, I don't want to say the exact number. I pay them a lot of money each month. And so it felt very hard to part with. And that helped that I literally started on the first step of the process when I parted with my money. And I was able to get a glimpse when I'm considering, do I hire them or do I hire this other ad agency? I was able to see okay, here's what they asked from me. How do I think that'll help them translate into making great ads? It really just is a mindset thing there that I think really helps clients feel ready to go. So the action step here, send them the first step or the first few steps if you want to. Don't overwhelm them, but send them something. When you send them the proposal, contract, and invoice, give them a clear visual for what's next and increase their certainty. So definitely try that one. Okay, the last tip, you guys, and then I'll get to these questions y'all are sending. So I really like this one. This one's about closing projects. So you've used Dubsado to make an amazing client experience at this point, and you're finishing a project. Here's how you can help your last project book your next. So attract your next leads every time you close a project. So that's by asking the right questions and blogging the project. So I'm going to kind of show you how I do this. So first of all, when I launch a client project, I always do these 3 things. First, I get their feedback via a survey that I use a Dubsado form for. And then I write a blog to my blog with about their project. Then I share about the project on my social media. I try to make a big deal out of clients' launches. Like I treat it like I launched my own website. And again, I know a lot of you guys aren't website designers, so translate that to whatever it is you're doing when you finish a project for a client. So here's my literal form. I literally am sending this to a client once I'm done with this webinar. Like this is what I've been using for so long. So I want to walk you through what's in the form and why. So first I say, thank you so much for working with me. And it autofills with their name, which is really fun. And then you can kind of read that little message there. And again, you're going to be able to get this in the slides, but I tell them the purpose of the survey. So I let people know I'm going to blog about it. I also I think you could say this to clients or not. I don't think I say this, but when you blog about someone's project, you're giving them a backlink, which can actually boost their SEO. So it's actually helpful to your clients too, especially if you're someone who blogs a lot. But I tell them the purpose. And then I like to ask really specific questions, and I sometimes will even change them specifically for each project. So you can see right here, I ask, what's your favorite part of your new website? What's your favorite part of your new branding? I might change those out if I only did one for the client. Another thing I've done a few times, I design on Showit, which I love Showit, and I sometimes have had clients, well, really often actually, who are switching from Squarespace to Showit, and so I'm like, that's a great opportunity for me to get a testimonial from them about why Showit's amazing that I can use if another client's like, but I really love Squarespace, I don't want to use Showit. So I might ask, how's the experience been switching from Squarespace to Showit? Something like that. I'm asking, how do you think this updated look will impact your business? Which a good thing to note there, I know a lot of people wait to send this kind of form until after the project's launched, because technically in that sense, they've had an opportunity to see was the reception good to the new logo or the new website or whatever it is. I like to send this beforehand because that way I can use it to promote the project. And then I'll usually follow up a month later and ask for more feedback specific to results. Did you get more inquiries from this? Did your launch go better because of this? And stuff like that. Then at the bottom, I ask for a generalized review. You can see that above. And then I ask them to copy and paste it to Facebook. You could also do Google. You could even switch it up for each client. So that way you get some people on Facebook, get some on Google. You could ask them to paste it both places. And what I'm doing there is you can see the last question is more generalized. And so I'm making it easy. When they click that button, it opens in a new window with my Facebook page brought up to where they can just enter their review and they're already logged into Facebook, all of that. It's really easy. So again, if you're emailing clients right now after a project and you're just will you write me a review? Can you just send me something over email? They are so likely not going to do it or to forget about it. And it goes less well. So with this, it's I'm making them do it. They're already used to Dubsado because they filled out other Dubsado forms. So this feels simple and easy. This is something that is a huge pet peeve of mine when people don't do this, but always ask for critical feedback. So that's literally the way I word it right there. Again, this is the form I use right now. I say, do you have any suggestions for things I could improve on? I welcome any helpful feedback. And then it says this answer won't be used in marketing materials, but it's just for me. And here's why you should ask for critical feedback, you guys. Even if a client loved working with you, and so all their answers above this are they were the greatest, this was incredible, they might still have something that you could improve on, and they'll say it nicely. I've never had a client be mean to me in this feedback, but I've had many clients who everything they wrote was amazing, but then they had some feedback I wish this had gone a little differently. I wasn't so clear on this, things like that. This communication felt off. I've had people say that, and it doesn't break me. It's not going to break you either, but it'll help you improve. So some of the biggest shifts I've made in my client process have come from people I absolutely love giving me negative feedback. Right there. So please, I got a little knocked my mic right there. Please add that in if you don't. And some clients will leave it blank. I had a project in recently where the person literally just left it blank and they said, nothing, it was amazing. You'll have some of that too, but you want to be someone welcoming to critical feedback. And then a quick note with that as well, like if a client writes something that is really negative, you might want to intentionally follow up with them in an email, talk it out, figure out if you can make it right in any way. And then you might not be able to read it fully because my screen share is blocking it, but go ahead and get their approval to use the review wherever you want to. That way you don't have to worry about a year from now when you add their reviews on your website and you're adding photos to your website, let's say with the reviewers, you don't have to worry about, does that client from a year ago feel okay with their photo being on my website? It's good to get permission. I've also never had a client say no to that. So anyway, it's still good to ask though. That way you can feel certain that it's okay to be sharing their stuff. Okay, now let's talk about the blog post real quick. So in the blog post, and you guys can go to my blog and see these blogs if you're curious, but I always like to include my thoughts on the project, favorite parts of it. I'll talk about the client and the things I love about their business or them personally. I've had clients a lot recently that were even friends beforehand or became friends through the experience. So I'll talk about things about them. I'll include images from the project, mock-ups, and even drafts. Sometimes if you're a logo designer, that's a fun thing you can do is like include some examples of like the process, maybe in a photo of a hand-drawn thing, really tell a story with it. And then I'll include answers to the questions from this form. So not all of them. I'll often pick which ones were my favorite. That's why it's good to ask quite a few so that you can like have some stuff to work with. But I'll include some of the questions. You can kind of see right there, there's one of the blog posts from a client project. And here is that same one. So you can see right there, it says, let's get into some Q&As with Amber. And then I'm literally typing the question and then her answers. Okay, so when you share well, every time a project finishes, your last project can book your next. And that happens without you even pitching your services. Good promotion can get potential customers' eyes on you because then your clients resharing your Instagram stories. They might be talking about you to other people or talking about it when they announce it. If you're talking about it with them, it feels more collaborative versus them feeling like alone in the launch process. And you can serve your clients well and close out a project clearly. That's another problem some of you guys might experience of like feeling like your projects don't have a clear ending. And so maybe, you're like, we finished the website, but this person keeps reaching out to me and they don't really seem to understand that like we're done working together. In the program I'm making for you guys, designers, about running a booked out business, I'm going to talk about that more, but I do want to say with that of like, this is a great way to close out a project clearly by like blogging about it and launching the blog the day their site goes live. I don't think I said that, but I always release it the same day and really celebrate with them. And you guys, you can also like ask your clients, do they want to do a giveaway with you, an Instagram live with you when they launch? They might not, but I've done that with multiple clients. I've done Instagram lives and co-giveaways to celebrate their launch with them, and that's really fun. Okay, so for this one, the action steps: add a feedback form to your client closeout process, asking specific questions and for criticism, constructive criticism, and then blog about your client's projects, celebrate them, make their launch a big deal in your business too, and watch the inquiries flood in because you really will attract more people naturally that way. So let me answer some of these questions. I'm going to stop screen sharing. Let me look. Oh, y'all sent a lot of stuff. Oh my gosh, you guys are so sweet. I love all these messages. I'm just now getting to really read them. Okay, London sent a question. Do you recommend sending people a scheduler to book a consult call right after the initial inquiry in your automated email, or after you've actually read their lead and feel like there's someone you'd like to work with? Okay, so I think both can work actually. So you could have in that automated email that I talk about in Secret 2, you could put in that a link to the scheduler. I do think that's a good option. I think let them move along quicker. And then if it feels like it's not working for you, and if you feel like you're constantly on the phone with people who aren't ideal clients, then take it off. Another thing, you guys, that helps with all this that I didn't say before, if you have pricing on your website, you're going to automatically weed out a lot of people who have really low budgets who aren't ideal anyway. So if you have like a range of pricing, a starting at with a range, I don't think you have to put everything exact, but that'll really help there. Okay, someone said, why not ask for your budget on the contact form? So the reason, I actually have a whole podcast episode about this. I want to say it's episode 48 of my podcast. I don't know. I think the reason I know the number is because I've I think it's 48. I've talked about that episode so many times since then. But yeah, the reason not to have the budget listed is because they might have, what I was saying already, they might have reached out to you and like 10 other designers. They don't even know if they want to work with you yet. So asking them for a budget is kind of asking for a level of commitment that they probably aren't at already. And also you want your contact form to function for people who are not reaching out to you about design work. So ideally you want your business to get to a place where someone could reach out to you and say, hey, I want you to be on my podcast. I'd like you to do a webinar with me. I'd like you to share this sponsored item on your Instagram and me pay you for it. Like when you ask what your budget is, you're throwing all those people to where they can't even fill out your contact form because it's not relevant. So the budget is a question to ask later. And when I've had a wait list, I've at times in my business, I actually have it like this right now, but I'm on a wait list, not really taking custom design clients. So people get a form after that's an application, and then they have that question on there of what your budget is, and there's a range. Okay. Can you do the call option when you have your starting price on your services page? Emily asked that. Yes, I think you can do the call option when you have a starting price. I like to do a starting price. I always recommend that of like, don't leave it too ambiguous of what the price is in most cases. I think it's worth trying of putting pricing if you don't already, but I think both those can go well together. Okay. London said, I would love to hear what's in your onboarding video. Michaela seconds that. All right. A lot of y'all said that. That's something I'll share when I do the program I'm going to come out with for designers. I can kind of tell you guys, I'm actually going to film one this afternoon or tomorrow morning, because I had a client sign the contract and all that yesterday for a big website project I'm really excited about. But what I typically do, I use Loom, and I'm recording so you can see my face in a little bubble, and I'm screen sharing, and I kind of overview to them of like, here's the first homework, and I tell them about what it is, what their to-do list is going to be, and I give them deadlines on things, and I try to keep it really short and not overwhelm people. The more you have clients that are busier and making more money in their business, they're going to care less about all the nitty-gritty details. So I try to make it really short and just what they need to know, and fun too. So that's kind of what goes into it. Do you have to incentivize clients to fill out the survey? I have such a hard time getting them to send me testimonials. So I don't do anything to incentivize them. And I don't know, maybe it's the way I'm phrasing it, but I haven't had much trouble with getting clients to fill it out. They typically know that like, you know, I need you to do this, before we launch, and then they will fill it out. So that really helps. I think it might be the way I'm phrasing it. I kind of like make it part of the process of like, this is how we're going to close it out, and this is how I'm going to promote you. So if you want me to share about your project, this is how. Okay. Do you set up a coming soon page for them to promote while you're doing their site? So that depends. I would show it, which is what I use. They actually can leave their site live wherever it is, until we're done with the site. And then typically it all really varies. Like the site I have a site launching in like a week or two, another custom site I did. I say I don't do custom sites, and I'm telling you guys about all these clients. So I guess I do. But I have a custom project launching, we're almost done with it actually. And she's already using Show It. So for like probably an hour or two, I'll put up a coming soon page, and I already designed it. I have it ready to go. And then that'll be on there for a second. And then we'll bring it live, the site live pretty quickly. Some clients like to have like long coming soon page times, but I don't really typically do that. If you guys come up with any more questions, feel free to keep sending them. You guys like the coffee review to Facebook thing. I'm so glad. Such a great idea. Why have I never thought to blog about client projects? Yes, Sarah. Okay, another fast thing with that of why it's awesome. It helps with your SEO. If you know how to do SEO well, you can help yourself start to rank for designs for whatever that person's industry was. Like it's seriously awesome, and it makes your clients feel really special. What do you do when clients don't launch or promote their project until later? We have a set launch day on my end, but what if they're not ready to share it with the world and announce their new brand? Yes. So that's a great question. I've had that happen many times where the client wants to launch at a later date. I actually had one client that was a festival, the Strawberry Festival for West Tennessee. We literally finished their project in like September or something of the year before, and they didn't launch it till February the previous year because they were launching it to go with some other thing that was happening in the city. So that was like a huge delay there. And so I got them to fill out the survey and stuff, but I launched with them. So I waited until they were ready to bring it live. Actually, I think it was already live, but they wanted to wait to promote it because the newspaper wrote about it and things like that. So I wait until they're ready. But you want to you can still try to make it like the project's ending clearly, even when it's not like completely live yet. I think I answered all these. Did I get to the bottom? Okay, the link. So the link is, if someone can type that, yes, Abby got it. So it's elizabethmccravey.com/Dubsado-slides. And that will get you all of those. Awesome. Do you guys have any other questions you can think of? And then we'll close out. I'm glad you guys like these tips. That is very fun to hear. And I would just say too, if you're new, if we've never met before in any way, I would love to connect with you on Instagram. I'm at Elizabeth McCravey. That's where I do a lot of my hanging out. And my podcast is really fun. Some of this stuff you might hear like a little overlap. I also talk about Dubsado on my podcast. There's an episode. I can't remember what the number is, but if you look through, gosh, I wish I knew the number off the top of my head. You'll be able to find it though. But I have an episode where I talk specifically about like my methods with Dubsado, my client process and things like that. So, and it's completely different than what we talked about here. So that's worth checking out if you want to learn more about Dubsado while the sale is happening. Glad you love the podcast, Michaela. Ellie, I'm glad you're enjoying the podcast. This is so fun. Okay, wait, another question. Okay, you think you first discovered Dubsado from the podcast. That's awesome. Okay, let me answer this one question, and then because we have more time. If you guys have other questions, I can stay until 3 if y'all have them. Okay, what if you have a business that works with high profile clients who you can't mention their names for blogs? How would you handle that? I guess, is that, my question first would be, is that your actual situation? Or is that something you're saying as more as a what if scenario? I actually put it in my contracts and actually for this client I just hired because they're a big deal in the online course industry. I highlighted this part of the contract because I felt like that was important for them to know. I require clients to give me a site credit that links back to my site. So that's like a 100% requirement with working with me. And I haven't had anyone be against that. So you're saying that is your case. Then I guess you can't blog about them. That'd be something to discuss with them. But I typically try to get my clients to know that they have to leave a site credit, and you can also incentivize them with that by letting them join an affiliate program with you, or give them, $100 for each referral they send you through their website. Before I had my template shop, that's what I did. I had a little referral program with clients. And so, when someone clicked their website link, loved their website, reached out to me, I would literally pay them as a thank you for sending me a client. So, yeah, you can do it that way. But yeah, that's hard if you can't share who it was. You could also ask them if you can share the testimonial, but maybe say their first name instead of just their first name, first initial. So for me, it'd be Elizabeth M. instead of their full business name and stuff. Okay, Michaela asked, how did you track the affiliates? So when I had it now my clients become affiliates of my template shop. And so they get paid like every other template affiliate does. But before, I didn't really track it technically because in any super professional way. But on the Dubsado questionnaire where it asks, how are you referred? And then I ask in parentheses, please be specific, put the name of the person. However, if they wrote, I came from Brittany over here, I came from Amber Housley, I would contact that person and say hey, so it only did if they actually booked. So don't do that just for the lead, do it for if they book. But I would say hey, Amber, your friend Courtney booked a project with me. And I'm so excited to work with her. I just wanted to say thank you. I'm going to send you a little PayPal gift your way. Or you could even send them a gift instead of cash if you want to. You can do whatever you want. But I think I would typically say I'm going to send you money, $100 was what I was typically doing. If it was a direct referral. So yeah, that's fun. Any other questions, guys? Okay, another one. In regards to the contact form, what would you suggest if clients are interested in multiple services, specifically for the form dropdowns that's linked to various workflows? So the way I've done in the past, I'd be curious too. The Dubsado team says they just had a webinar on that. So that'd be helpful to watch as well. What I would do with that, so for me, I'd be curious, what are the multiple services? But for me, like, they could have the option of branding only or website design only or branding and website design together. Instead of putting those as multiple options, I was putting them all together as one. So that way it could kind of go that way. You could have the drop down still say like the options the way I was suggesting, but then do another question that says, which service are you interested? Check all that apply and do the check mark option in Dubsado. But I think you have to have the drop down in order to link to workflows, if I'm remembering correctly. The Dubsado team might be able to correct me, but I think it's only drop downs that you can link, not check marks. But if there's check marks, you could probably do it that way too. Okay, I think I'm going to call this me actually leaving, and we're going to sign off. Okay, glad that works. Okay, I'm going to sign off here. Again, I would love to connect with you guys at Elizabeth McCravey on Instagram, and go get the slides. It's elizabethmccravey.com/Dubsado with a dash slides. And then you'll be able to download that and you can literally reference like exactly all those things I was mentioning. Thank you guys for being here. Very fun. This was my first time doing a webinar, by the way. So this was like especially fun to like get to try. And I love Dubsado. So thank you guys for having me. Okay. I'm going to figure out how to sign off of this. All right, I'm leaving the webinar. Bye, you guys. Thank you. Thank you for listening to the podcast this week, friend. I appreciate you being here. And hey, if you enjoyed this episode, I want to tell you about something. I would encourage you to check out my website template shop. Over on elizabethmccravey.com, you'll find Show It website templates, and they are easy to use, strategically designed, and created to help you book more clients and customers. Maybe your current website is really boring. I don't know, maybe it is, and maybe you don't want to hurt its feelings, but you know it's true. And your website needs to be strategically and intentionally designed in order for it to convert your viewers into raving customers. And that's what these website templates do on MShop. These are pre-made website templates built for the Show It platform where you can plug and play your content into the template with ease and then get started with a website that is made to actually make you money. Isn't that what we all want, right? So go shop the templates at elizabethmccravey.com/shop. That link is also in the show notes. And don't forget that you can actually subscribe to this podcast wherever you're listening so that you never miss an episode. And I would so appreciate it if you left a rating and review for the show on Apple Podcasts, or even just share it with a friend. It's a great way to support the show and then give us your feedback. So thanks so much for listening.